Earlier, Olivia and Ethan kept their pain at a distance, carefully sharing but still guarded. In part 3, the tone softens, and the walls start to come down. Olivia is wide awake now, not just physically, but emotionally alert, her heart racing with feelings she can no longer ignore or hide. This detail speaks to the power of connection. Sometimes it awakens parts of us we thought were numb. Ethan's invitation, "You can ask me anything," is both brave and gentle. It signals trust and openness, asking Olivia to step further into vulnerability without fear of judgment. The phrase, "We've got altitude on our side," is beautiful and symbolic. Being thousands of feet above the ground creates a sense of suspended reality, a safe bubble where usual rules and worries don't fully apply. This metaphor invites the characters and the reader to imagine a space where honesty and emotional risk are possible, confessions and regrets. The weight of what could have been when Olivia asks Ethan about his regrets. Its answer is simple but charged with emotion, that I was still in love with her. The past love he references, though unnamed, carries the weight of loss and missed opportunity. His admission that he never told her, letting her walk away because she thought he didn't care, reveals deep pain and self-blame. This confession is a turning point because it humanizes Ethan fully. He is not just a kind stranger, but a man burdened by unspoken feelings and a love that still lingers. His regret is relatable to many. The sadness of realizing too late that you didn't express your true feelings. Olivia's reaction, her heart aching without knowing why, demonstrates the power of empathy and emotional resonance. Sometimes hearing someone else's pain mirrors our own. Even if their story is different, Olivia's own vulnerability, Ethan then turns the question back to Olivia, inviting her to share her own regret. Her answer is raw and revealing. She wished she had told her former partner that she deserved more than just being chosen out of convenience, that she wanted to be seen. This is a powerful statement about the human need to be valued and truly understood, not just tolerated or settled. For Olivia's words echo a universal longing for recognition and genuine love. This moment strips away pretenses, showing her not just as a woman recovering from divorce, but as someone who craves emotional authenticity. The conversation between them feels like a safe confessional space where both can be honest about the disappointments and wounds they carry. Its mutual vulnerability deepens their bond. The gentle touch, physical and emotional connection the story describes. Ethan reaching for Olivia's hand gently this time, no accident. This action signals a shift from mere conversation to physical intimacy, though it's handled with subtlety and care. There's no rush, no pressure, just a simple, deliberate touch that speaks volumes about trust, comfort, and tentative affection. Physical touch in storytelling often symbolizes emotional connection, especially when words fail. Here, it's a quiet but profound gesture that confirms their growing closeness. Olivia lets him, indicating she is willing to accept this gesture. To allow herself to be comforted and connected, the plane's descent. A metaphor for reality returning as the plane starts to descend. The story uses this moment as a metaphor for the impending return to reality. The magic and intimacy of their altitude bubble are about to end. This transition creates natural tension. The emotional bubble they've shared is fragile and temporary. Olivia's nervous admission that she doesn't usually do this, talk so openly, reminds the reader that what's happening between them is rare and special. Ethan's agreement reinforces this. Their laughter, quiet and gentle, humanizes them further and brings warmth to the scene. The theme of First Class has its own rules. Ethan's line about first class having its own rules is a charming and meaningful motif. It suggests that this special environment, luxurious, private, removed from everyday life, allows for exceptions. Maybe in first class, people can be braver, softer, more honest. It's a poetic way of saying that sometimes special circumstances invite moments of real connection. This theme elevates the story beyond a simple chance meeting into a more symbolic narrative about how love and healing can flourish in unexpected, even fleeting places. Emotional themes, longing, hope, and tenderness. Part 3 captures the essence of longing, the aching desire to be understood, loved, and accepted. Olivia and Ethan share their regrets not to burden each other, but to connect, to find understanding in someone else's pain. This exchange creates an emotional intimacy that feels genuine and mature. There is also hope woven through their dialogue. Both characters hint that perhaps the past doesn't have to define their future. The fact that they are opening up signals that healing might begin here, even if the story isn't certain where it will lead. Tenderness permeates this part in their voices, in their gentle touch, and in the quiet moments of shared laughter. The story's tone remains respectful and mature, avoiding melodrama or haste. It embraces the complexity of adult emotions with grace. The dramatic and narrative purpose. Part 3 serves as the emotional climax of the flight scene. It builds on the foundation laid earlier and pushes the relationship forward in a meaningful way. The characters' honesty and vulnerability create stakes, not life or death stakes, but the kind of stakes that matter deeply to adults. The risk of opening one's heart after heartbreak. The tension between wanting connection and fearing loss is palpable. The approaching landing reminds both Olivia and Ethan and the reader that this moment is temporary, precious, and fragile. This balance of intimacy and impending separation keeps the reader emotionally engaged and invested in what will happen next. Why this part resonates: many people have experienced moments where they feel a sudden and profound connection with a stranger, a shared vulnerability that transcends time and place. Part 3 captures this beautifully. It's about the power of honest conversation, the courage to reveal one's pain, and the comfort found in unexpected companionship. By focusing on mature themes like regret, longing, and hope, without rushing to romance or fantasy, the story feels authentic and deeply moving. Olivia and Ethan are real people with complicated emotions, and their interactions invite the audience to reflect on their own experiences of love, loss, and healing. The plane's descent is a powerful metaphor for returning to everyday life after a rare moment of emotional connection. As the aircraft lowers altitude, so too does the emotional atmosphere shift from the ethereal closeness of altitude to the grounding reality of the world below. This physical transition mirrors Olivia and Ethan's internal states. Their conversation and connection happened in a special, almost magical space that, like the flight, cannot last forever. The landing reminds them and the reader that their interaction is a delicate gift, a moment of clarity and warmth amid life's complexities. The gentle goodbye, a moment full of unspoken meaning when the plane touches down and the captain announces their arrival. Olivia and Ethan share a quiet glance, laden with everything unspoken between them. This glance is the story's emotional punctuation. It speaks of hope, regret, attraction, and the bittersweet knowledge that their time together is ending. Their goodbye is understated. There are no grand declarations, no promises of forever. Instead, the farewell is intimate in its simplicity. A look, a smile, and a touch on the hand. This restraint adds to the story's mature tone, emphasizing that sometimes the most powerful emotions are expressed in silence or small gestures. The significance of the shared text messages they prepare to disembark. Ethan sends Olivia a simple text: "Thank you for sharing this flight with me." This message is significant because it bridges the gap between their transient connection and the possibility of something beyond. The text is neither too forward nor overly cautious. It's a gentle acknowledgement of what they experienced, an invitation to keep the connection alive without pressure. For Olivia, receiving this message is a moment of warmth and reassurance, a reminder that genuine connection can survive even outside the confined space of first class. This moment respects the story's themes of subtlety and maturity. It leaves the future open-ended, suggesting that while nothing is guaranteed, There is hope, a seed planted for whatever might come next. Olivia's internal reflection, growth and new beginnings after the flight. Olivia walks out of the airport with a different outlook. This story highlights her reflection on what happened during those few hours in the sky, a rare chance to be seen and understood. This reflection symbolizes her emotional growth. Though her divorce remains a reality, Olivia carries with her a newfound sense of peace and the possibility of healing. Meeting Ethan was not a cure-all, but a meaningful step toward reclaiming her happiness and self-worth. Her inner transformation is subtle but profound. It shows that sometimes healing doesn't come from grand gestures, but from small, genuine moments of connection that remind us we're not alone. Ethan's perspective, quiet hope and uncertainty from Ethan's viewpoint. The flight was also a turning point, though he remains a man with past heartbreak. His interaction with Olivia rekindled something dormant, a hope that maybe love and trust can be found again. The first part of this story introduces us to Olivia Bennett, a woman caught between two very different places in her life, physically, emotionally, and mentally. She is traveling from New York to Seattle, a journey that marks a transition. In her life, the mention of her finalized divorce papers is crucial because it immediately frames her emotional state. She is burdened by the weight of heartbreak, loss, and the challenge of starting over. Olivia's flight experience sets the tone for the story. Usually, first class is associated with luxury, comfort, and ease. But for Olivia, it's just a temporary shelter from the storm she's facing inside. The fact that she wasn't even supposed to be in first class, her original flight was canceled, adds a layer of chance and fate. Sometimes the best moments in life come unexpectedly, even when we feel the most broken or lost. When Olivia boards the plane and finds her seat, 1A. By the window, she is probably hoping for some privacy and quiet. The window seat is often symbolic in stories like this. It represents both a barrier and a view. She is separated from the world outside by glass, but also given a chance to look out, to dream, or to simply watch life pass by. It's a very introspective position, suggesting she's caught between looking inward and longing for the future. The man seated next to her, Ethan Cole, is introduced in a way that contrasts Olivia's mood. He seems calm and grounded, yet gentle. His smile when he greets Olivia is warm but not intrusive, a small act of kindness that immediately signals he might be someone important in the story. The fact that he's reading an old, worn book hints at depth and perhaps his own emotional history. The dialogue between them is minimal but meaningful. When Ethan raises a glass of champagne and proposes a toast to new beginnings, it's more than just a casual gesture. It reflects the theme of the story to people at different points in their lives. It's carrying their own pain and hopes, meeting by chance on a flight that symbolizes transition. Olivia's hesitant response. 2. Peace reveals her desire for calm, closure, or healing, even if she isn't quite ready to admit it out loud. The first part ends on a subtle cliffhanger, focusing on Ethan's look. It's a look that makes Olivia feel noticed, seen, and perhaps understood, feelings she hasn't experienced in a long time. The story invites the reader to wonder who Ethan really is, what his story might be, and how this chance encounter might affect Olivia's journey. The emotional tone here is gentle and mature, emphasizing quiet moments and unspoken feelings rather than dramatic declarations. Olivia and Ethan don't rush into talking about their pain. Instead, the tension builds in small gestures and glances. It's realistic. Sometimes people feel things deeply but don't express them immediately, especially in a confined and temporary space like an airplane. This part also touches on the universal human experience of feeling alone even when surrounded by people. Olivia's story is relatable. Many have felt the loneliness of heartbreak and the fragile hope of new beginnings. Ethan's presence hints at the possibility of connection, reminding the audience that sometimes comfort and understanding can come from the most unexpected places. More detailed thoughts on key elements. Olivia's background. The divorce papers are a powerful symbol of ending, but also new starts. They carry emotional weight, representing years of memories, disappointment, and the courage to move forward. Her tiredness isn't just physical, it's emotional exhaustion. She boards the plane with a heavy heart, but also a tiny spark of hope. The setting, the first-class cabin, is a perfect backdrop for this story. It's luxurious but intimate, quiet but full of invisible tension. The narrow seats, the gentle hum of the engines, the dimmed lights all contribute to an atmosphere where vulnerability feels safer. Ethan's introduction, he's calm, kind, and non-intrusive, qualities that contrast Olivia's guardedness. His old book suggests someone who values depth and reflection. His toast to new beginnings works as a subtle invitation for Olivia to open up, though she's hesitant. The symbolism of the toast, champagne to new beginnings, is a classic romantic gesture, but here it's handled with restraint. Olivia's quieter two Ps shows her guardedness, but also a yearning for healing. This toast sets the emotional tone for what follows. The look. The story closes with the emotional hook. Ethan's look that makes Olivia feel noticed. This moment plants the seed of attraction and connection without forcing it, leaving the audience curious and invested. Why this part works emotionally and romantically. This opening chapter feels honest and relatable. It doesn't rush to romance or drama, but lays the groundwork with small moments of human connection. The flight, a transient, closed space, works perfectly as a metaphor for their emotional states, suspended between where they were and where they are going, both physically and emotionally. The characters are mature, thoughtful adults who carry scars, but also hope. This makes them relatable to an adult audience who understand that love and connection often come quietly and unexpectedly, especially after pain. By the end of this part, the reader feels a quiet anticipation, a gentle hook that promises more. Emotional discovery, intimacy, and perhaps healing through this chance encounter. The story doesn't give answers yet, but it invites the reader to sit with Olivia and Ethan, to watch as their separate journeys begin to intertwine. After the plane has reached cruising altitude, the atmosphere inside the cabin shifts. The gentle hum of engines and the soft glow of cabin lights create an intimate and somewhat cozy environment. This setting allows the characters to lower their emotional shields just a little. Dinner is served, and the routine of eating together adds an unspoken formality but also comfort. Sharing a meal has long been a symbol of intimacy and trust in storytelling. It's a gentle way to bring people closer without forcing conversation. The fact that this happens in first class, a setting associated with care and special treatment, adds to the symbolism. The special service the title mentions isn't just the luxury of first class, but the emotional attention and connection brewing between the characters. Introducing Rachel, the flight attendant, as a connector. Rachel, the flight attendant, is a seemingly small character, but an important one. She is the kind of person who notices things others might miss. She has observed Ethan on this flight route before, and in him, she sees a pattern of sadness and solitude. This small detail adds depth to Ethan's character. He is not just a businessman on a routine trip, but a man with a recurring emotional burden. Rachel's role is gentle and warm. She lightens the mood with her teasing about dark chocolate and missed chances, a dessert pairing that metaphorically speaks to the bittersweet nature of the encounter. Her playful words hint that the airline staff may be aware, in a small way, of the emotional drama unfolding between these two strangers. She is like a guardian angel of sorts, quietly encouraging connection without pushing too hard. Rachel's presence also reminds the audience that sometimes third parties in our lives notice more than we think. She represents the silent observers who pick up on emotional undercurrents and hope to nurture healing, an often overlooked but essential part of the human experience. The deepening conversation revealing pain and longing, Ethan asks Olivia whether she's running from something or going back to it. He's inviting her into a deeper conversation about her life. A conversation that Olivia might not have been ready for just moments before. His question is direct but kind. and it opens a door to vulnerability. Olivia's honest response both reflects a complicated emotional state. She's caught between leaving behind a painful past, her divorce, and facing an uncertain future. The brevity of her answer shows that she's still guarded, unwilling to unload too much too soon, but willing to share enough to connect. Ethan's reply, "I'm sorry," is simple but meaningful. It acknowledges her pain without judgment. This small exchange establishes a foundation of empathy between them, a critical step in building trust and emotional intimacy. When Olivia asks about Ethan, he speaks of business on the surface, but immediately admits that heartbreak came first. This admission is the first glimpse of his true emotional state, and it draws the reader's curiosity. What heartbreak? Tay, why hasn't he moved on? His laughter when he says, "This is soft." It suggests resignation, maybe even sorrow masked by humor. This moment is pivotal because it shows both characters as emotionally complex and real. They aren't just people passing time on a flight. They're two wounded souls searching for something more. The dialogue here balances restraint with honesty, creating a mature, nuanced exchange that feels authentic. The symbolism of the desert dark chocolate and Miss Chance's Rachel's playful comment about dark chocolate and Miss Chance's as the dessert pairing is a beautifully crafted metaphor. Dark chocolate is bittersweet. It has richness and depth, but also a slight bitterness that lingers. It parallels the themes of the story, sweet moments mixed with regret and longing. Miss Chance's speaks directly to both Olivia and Ethan's inner stories. They have both lost something precious: love, trust, hope, and now face the challenge of whether they can reclaim or rebuild what was lost. This phrase plants a subtle emotional hook that lingers for the reader, signaling that this story isn't just about a flight, but about second chances and healing, the physical and emotional proximity